What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Not Bland Show. Thought we'd do something fun today, and it's a long weekend. It was a long weekend, a crazy weekend to be exact. Man, you had everything. You're right, drag racing mayhem. What a weekend! Um, Everything from rain to action on the track to track not looking good. It just absolutely and utterly crazy. Um, Before we get into this thing, I want to thank my sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. If you played today, uh, tell us how you did, where you rank. If you're in this league, tell us how you did, where you're at, where you sit, where you rank. It was a tough one, a lot of upsets. I thought I picked enough upsets. Didn't work out very well, but I did do pretty decent though, considering. Um, Not always a great or easy day at the office when it comes to that. Uh, we will also go ahead and thank Drag Race Reference for all they do and everything Nitro, of course, and Sports Journey for giving us this platform to be able to do this. And before we get into this thing, if you haven't already signed up for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, well, now's the time. I don't know what you're waiting for, but if you don't know how to do that, here it is. And after a word from our sponsor, we'll get into things that were the Gator Nationals.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Well, pretty decent day. They were managed to get everything in. I was really shocked that they were. Some of us have to go to work, so could not stay another late day at the track. Yeah, it was been quite a weekend. I'll tell you what, man. First things first. Didn't expect by any means the rain that we saw on Saturday. It really wasn't supposed to rain until the afternoon, and out of the blue, here comes the rain, and it stayed with us all day. It was very shocking. If you ask me, it was very shocking. Did not expect that at all, and it threw off everything, really. And then today, what little bit of rain last night was expected. Well, I say a little bit, and it was a lot of rain yesterday at the track last night. It was obvious when we saw it this morning. I don't know about you, but I knew daggone well that wasn't a track that was going to be able to handle any type of cars going down it today. In the beginning, it was not prepared well at all, and it showed. I think they rushed it a little bit. I know they wanted to get this event in. Nobody wants to keep them another day. And to be honest with you, I don't know if keeping them another day would have even helped in this instance because it's going to rain Monday. So the track was pretty washed out. And you could see that the rubber wasn't sticking very well. Every car pretty much except for Tony's. And I said that with the fact that if you're a car that makes a lot of horsepower or leaves really hard, it wasn't going to stick. Fortunate enough, Tony Stewart has the best track specialist in the business on his team, which helps. And on top of that, at times they don't nearly leave as hard sometimes as others. So it was pretty obvious in so many ways why he got down. But I feel super hurt for Trip Tatum for this whole thing. Just a little bit more time. And I understand the traditions, track walk, that whole 9 yards, but this was a different scenario. And I think anybody and their mama, likely Ray Charles, could have seen that track wasn't worth diddly squat. in the beginning. So, I don't know what to say there. We need to take more time and make sure that thing is right, so we don't have those types of incidences on the racetrack. Your winners today, I love the upsets, and I think this is what's going to make this season very interesting when we go and we finally look at everything. Starting with this race, you have Antron Brown getting the win over Sean Langdon. Sean Langdon looked tough, and he should have. Both cars were running really well, and he probably had more laps than anybody uh, in the whole place because he drove Doug's car and his car in testing. You look at Funny Car and Chad Green. This is huge for a team that is picked up and decided to go with two cars. They really started charging towards the end and finding some level of consistency. And they come out here and they beat Ron Capps by just going A to B. Really nice run, though, 392 with the 329.18 miles an hour. I'm really happy for that team. Really good start to the season. You make some changes crew chief wise, and here you are in the winner's circle. You got Dallas Glenn getting a little redemption from Pomona, going out there and getting a win with a 6:54.9 at 211 miles an hour, 11 miles an hour, 0.13. I just look. I have a feeling that this is going to be his year, and I think this was the thing to catapult him right now, give him some momentum coming into the season, and let's see what the cards made. But I tell you what, Greg Anderson is going to be tough as hell. He's going to be tough as hell. Very, very tough to the end. Just had a little too much in it for whatever reasons, did not stick. But they were running really close all day. Their numbers were very close all day long. And, when you look at Dallas Glenn and his statistics, Dallas Glenn, this is courtesy of dragracereference.com, 14th win. It ties Aaron Stanfield for 15th all time. Second Gator Nationals win. Started the season in the points lead, trying to win the regular season championship. This was third year in a row. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes here. You look at Chad Green. This is his second career win, ties 16 other drivers for 50th all time. First time leading the points ever. So he's leaving here the points leader, gets a W, gets the little Gator Wally, that which I love. That's awesome. Antron Brown, the champ, is still here, and he's still delivering. Antron Brown, 65th career top fuel win, still 23 behind Tony Schumacher, and Antron has won 7 of the last 16 national events. It really tells you a lot about what this team has been able to do and the fact that they've been able to pick up right where they left off. I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but that car that he's driving today is really a totally brand new car. They, had the incident where the tire blew. It destroyed the car. They could have simply just front halved it. We talked to him, before the Gator Nationals and a media scrum, and he said they just went ahead and back halved and front halved it, and it's a brand new car. So, and no changes. It's picked up right where it left off, right where the car left off in Bradenton. And man, they're going to be tough, but I think this whole class is going to be tough. How about, we didn't know whether, why is his name escaping me now? Steve Torrance was able was he even going to be out there? We get the announcement that he's going to be out there and will be out there the full season. And Steve Torrance kind of looked like he was in his championship form, so to speak. Didn't have enough in, I believe that was round 3. against Antron Brown, but the 377.3, he was near Antron as far as the light, but he really needed to leave on Antron big time and likely still wouldn't have gotten it. Antron 3.754 in that round at 324 miles an hour. But, I will say this, give the NHRA and the Safety Safari credit for getting it right. They had a second chance at it with that rain. They got it right the second time. And with the amount of runs, as they started getting more runs on the racetrack, it started coming around. But you could tell, and I know I said that last time a couple years ago, we had a similar situation here where the track pretty much got washed out, and looked at it, and there was no way anybody was going to run down that track. That was the year that Tripp won the event. But this track looked different. At least that track at that time, it had like a glistening sheen to it. This one looked dull. It looked like my interstate highway out there with some rubber on it. And it looked like the rubber was peeling up early. And they got it right. And it came around and gave the fans a good show. We had some really good racing today, despite all the headaches. I mean, I don't know. You need to wave sage or something, man. Like, power goes out, lose everything, running on the generator. Like, what more could have happened here at the Gator Nationals? I say one of the most hectic, and it almost became the worst Gator Nationals, I think, in history. But it was revived quickly. Drag Racing Mayhem says, what do you think about Tasca's comments that blew up on social media as NHRA and IndyCar fans mad? Look, that's fake. That's fake outrage. Fake outrage. And here's why. How many of us have been talking about this since that ad came out? And now all of a sudden, because Tasca had the cojones to say it live and talk directly to them and let them know exactly how he felt about it without taking to social media. And I think you saw a lot of us in the media did not take we took to social media, we took to our shows, and we said this. We've been saying this. So what's the outrage about? Because now a driver said it? Then if he doesn't say it or nobody mentions anything about it, then it's the other way around. Now we're mad because nobody mentioned anything about it. Nobody had the balls to mention anything about it, right? These are people that want to be mad. They're going to be mad no matter how it goes. That's fake outrage. Because those same people were the same ones that were like, that's not true. But now because he said something, now your colon has swallowed your panties. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. That's fake outrage and nonsense. We all know that they were in the wrong, especially when you've had this sport for a while. That type of an ad shows total ignorance. And it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful to the NHRA. It was disrespectful to the two fastest cars in NHRA. It's disrespectful for anyone who's come close to and run 339 miles an hour, any of these cars. But we had a 341 run twice. Nobody wants to hear that nonsense. So be mad all you want to, but I think it's a joke. Memphis Lonnie says they actually just ended the NHRA TV cast and there's still racing left. I was surprised at that because I had left it on and I was going to leave it on in the background to kind of catch the rest of it. Maybe it's just been a long day and they don't want to have people on the mic until 9 or 10 o'clock because it has been a long weekend. Friday ran late, had the incident there. They were, for whatever reason, they were behind and it was sunny outside. And then you had the incident with AP Austin Prock blowing the rear end up. And that was pretty much all she wrote there. And that was a delay that happened. And once you got behind the 8 ball, it was going to be late. So then you were pretty much there all day. They tried. I felt like they kind of had an idea that they weren't going to be able to get it going, but they had to at least try. But it looked like to me that that was never really going to happen, because when they did call for Saturday 3:30 for top fuel to the lanes, I hadn't heard not one car warm up, not once. So, and there was nobody in the lanes. So I kind of figured that it wouldn't happen. And I believe a couple people came in the media center and said there was a little bit like it was kind of misting a little bit, not nothing to where it was showing up on the ground, but very light. And that light mist turned into another downpour. So it was unfortunate day on Saturday. And it was a long day for a lot of people. Dave W says, I would also like to thank Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. I have got the points lead in the not playing league and 43rd overall. Yeah. I'm going to throw that up here in a minute as I work on that, getting that for the league here. We'll put up the standings here and see what we got. Let's see. We're going to do that here in a little bit once I figure out how to share this screen again. There we go. Gotcha. We'll show the point standing here. And here we go. As you can see, Dave W is in the lead, but look who's behind him. Yeah, this guy had a lot of misses today. I thought I had some really good upset picks. Some of them didn't come to fruition. You see Nicole Clark is behind me there, right? I mean, really close. My camera guy, the real Fred Warner, is in 4th. We got Scott in 5th, Memphis Lonnie 6th. And man, that wraps up the top 6. Okay. Pretty cool though. Pretty cool. That's for the majors. Let's see what we got for the Gator Nationals. This is how it rolled out here. Pretty much the same. It'll all be the same here. But it's pretty impressive that you start out 43rd overall. I think I'm like in the 100th deal. If I had one more pick, I'd have beat you out in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I had one that I should have gone with, and I didn't, and blew it big time. Let's see what the overall standings look like here, if we can find those. So here's your overall major standings. Right here's Dave W, as you can see right there, 43rd overall. As you can see, I am 195 for the majors. Let's see. I think the season is going to be pretty much the same. I didn't do too bad, and a couple was this Pro Stock Motorcycle. Yeah, I mean, it's just so many people were way better than me. I was actually 45 in Pro Stock. Not too bad. I had a pretty good day in Pro Stock. It's the other classes. 66 in Funny Car. That was a toss up there. I had a couple upsets in that particular deal, but it was a fun day of upsets. What I did was I used the randomizer, and then what I did is made adjustments on my picks accordingly. So I let the randomizer do its thing, and then I went to specific matchups and moved who I thought would make it. I kept a lot of the upsets. Some of them, you got to be realistic about yourself and realistic about the situation. And I took a look at that and made the adjustments accordingly. Some of them I probably should have just let fly. Study long, study wrong, they say. And some of those I studied wrong. Dave W said Tasca was right to call them out. I said it after the very first commercial aired. It is not good advertising for IndyCar. You can say the fastest motorsports with turns. Yeah, Exactly. Drag Racing Mayhem says IndyCar isn't even the fastest with turns. F1 is. I don't know. You'd have to tell me. So Dave W says F1 car cannot make a lap around IMS at 235 miles an hour. What's going on, Blake? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. IndyCar runs a very specific aero kit. If F1 was set up to run IMS like how they do every other track, they would be faster by 1,000 horsepower and 660 greater. Gotcha. Memphis Lonnie says, and I'm the king of red. It was a lot of red on mine too. I should probably show you guys that. It was a lot of red on mine too. Let's see. Go to my bracket here. I'll throw that back up there. So here's the bracket. You see, this is Top Fuel. Here in your left corner, you see the red there. Unfortunate. There was one. I was going to take Clay. I took Josh all the way. I just had this feeling that with the weather conditions, how he was actually, pairing up and looking, that I thought he might have a couple upsets. It didn't help that he ran on that bald track, and that didn't help at all. Clay managed to do that and get that done. But I liked Clay too. It was a very tough pick. Didn't see Doug going out, but when you start factoring in what we were dealing with the racetrack, kind of saw that coming. They make a lot of horsepower, very tough for them to deal with. And you see the funny car ladder. Wasn't too bad. I really should have took Chad Green. I had him picked initially. Didn't work out. I did have Buddy going to the second round. I just had that feeling. And really, I think if they had a few more runs, they probably could have gotten out of the second round, or at least made it close. Didn't expect Hagan to win there. Thought Jack would win. But there were some upsets, and that's what kind of kills your bracket. As you see here, though, my Pro Star Motorcycle bracket was pretty darn good. I thought Matt would do it, but once again, which we're going to talk about this, once again, Matt has issues at the starting line. It's the first race of the season. You've had all off season, and you have a potential mistake that could have pretty much cost you not even being able to run. And I don't understand. It's the little things. I think I was texting Dave W and I said, it's the little things. And it is. In this whole game, it's all about the little things. It's about making sure that we don't allow stupid stuff to cost you a victory, cost you a chance at victory. And he was late all day. And I thought he was just kind of, because he knew he had the better bike, that he just had to be in the ballpark. And he was late. He was extremely late, especially against Gage. That ain't going to cut it on any level. And he's going to have to sit with that for a while until they get to Charlotte. But that was unnecessary. And really, man, you've had all season to correct that. You got to do a better job, and he's got to do a better job in those final rounds of not allowing the little mistakes to creep up, because they're going to bite you. Memphis Line says the temperature thing with Angel legit or just a BS rule? It's legit. I don't understand it. I understand it, but okay. So I understand it from the fact of, if that's why you see a lot of times you'll see them drape a blanket over the front of the dragster. If they have to pause, you'll see them have to kind of keep those fuel jugs out of sun, because eventually it changes. They're over there doing a whole bunch of mixing. I got a chance to watch Ida Zetterstrom, from the pretty much, I think she was at the beginning point of filling her jugs and mixing, doing the elixir for the nitro. And it's, it's a process. And if that sits out in the sun, well, it will change the percentage of, the nitro, because I guess things heating up, maybe the methanol, whatever they put in there, alcohol dries up a little bit, changes that whole entire elixir a little bit because of the heat. And I think that's probably what happened. Don't know how that happened, but it did, and it is a legit rule. So you have to have your percentages right when you show up, because we don't want to be illegal with having a higher percentage of nitro than you're supposed to have within your mixture, when you're talking about an alcohol class. So, and they have the same thing in in the pro classes as well. It's all like that. Blake says, Dujane, 2 of my 4 bracket picks won. Excellent. That's off to a great start. Definitely off to a great start. I don't think I had it. I had Dallas was 1. I only had 1. So you're better than me on that one for sure. Dave W says, no more of the mistakes than a team being tossed for 90.1% nitro when the limit is 9. Ooh, yeah, that's tough, man. That's really tough. To just get tossed for that 0.1%. That's tough. But a rule is a rule. I don't see the 0.1% making a difference. I really don't. But rule is a rule. Blake says, Dujane, did you have fun, or the rain made it a bit uncomfortable? I usually deal with the rain just fine. It was actually fun. Had a good time in the media center, just chopping up with other media members and other PR people from the department. At that time, is you kind of, what I'd like to do is continue to develop relationships. Had an awesome time talking with AJ of the Late Lap, and he's got some great things coming up with his show. Talk with some people from Coletta Motorsports. Of course, me and Bobby are always talking in the media center. But it was a great time. Mighty Mac was in there. Yeah, a lot of fun. It wasn't too bad. It made it palatable, at least. Memphis Lonnie says, I did enjoy Bob Tasker's getting on the Fox about fast. Yeah, absolutely. It was a great call, and he did it on the mic. Didn't want to do it through social media, and I don't blame him. Drag Racing Mayhem says Steve isn't running for a championship this year. I don't think so, but at least he looks strong. And I think if he can continue what he did here today, he definitely has the ability. He's going to be he is going to be running the whole season from what I understood. So Dave said Drag Illustrated just had an article 4 days ago about his 2025 championship run. They did announce that he will be running the whole season. The Galvin was wrong, which, yeah, he misspoke on that one. It was one other thing I forgot he misspoke on too, but with the weekend that them two have that he has had all weekend, I'm sure his brain is like everywhere. Dave W said, don't believe everything you hear on NHRA TV. They also said that a funny car was only legal this year since Bellemere is running it. Yeah, that ain't true. That wasn't true either. There was a lot of misinformation that they have to clean up there. What did you guys think of the tandems that were on there? as far as the announcing. They ran Alki semis and then it ended. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at that. I wanted to catch that, but I was busy doing some other stuff. It started to rain again after Jackie Frick made a pass. And Jackie Frick is on one right now. She came out just swinging, and I like it. Hopefully she can get a championship. Memphis Lion says, when I tried to pull NHRA TV back up on live, yeah, it's over. I think Dave, like you saw, Dave W said it rained after her pass. So Drag Racing Mayhem says top alcohol funny car guys have also been protesting the A fuel combination. Yeah, but it ain't going anywhere. It ain't going anywhere. And it does prove though. I mean, you can win with both combinations. I'll say that. You can win both combinations. I think it's fun though. We'll see if it turns into just the nitro injected class in the funny car class, or will we keep seeing a mixture of those types of cars? Memphis Lion said, I had Gage winning. That's all I had right. That was a good pick. Dave W says the real tough part is she got her run tossed on a single because Dan Rich, I don't know, wasn't there. What? That's why Jackie Frick won round one and had 2 buys round runs to the final. I didn't like that, and I'll talk about that too. I did not like those guys taking the light, and before when you had a pair already of 2 that were going to go down, just let them go down, and then those guys who want to take the tree and just break the beam, let them do that last. Because you know that's what they're going to do. It's not going to hurt the order. It's not going to mess with anybody's, ladder or anything. Doesn't matter how you run it. I thought it would have been better to do it that way. So Angel was a temperature issue. Yes, it was a temperature issue. Drag Racing Mayhem says, I personally like Dave Freiberger. Actually, drag racing talk is nice compared to Alan and Jason calling each other fat every week. Learned more from him than I did from Alan. Dave W says no, Angels was a temperature issue because of how they tested the nitro. Yeah, he had it earlier. It was a 90.1%. It was 0.1% over. That's dumb. That's dumb. 0.1% over. Sad. But that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Drag Racing Mayhem says them taking a light was the protest. Many of them decided to not run. I will say this. They are the ones who get hurt in all of this when you have bad weather. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate, but it's the name of the game. They are the ones who get hurt in all of this when it comes down to, rain. And it's a tough balancing act. You know what I mean? It really is. So at least they were able to get something done today for them, and they were able to get on the track. I mean, think about it. If you're pro mod, you ain't run. Your last run was on Friday. So very tough. I thought it was a very good or very solid. I think the 2 people in the booth is great. Freiberger, you can tell, still has some things to learn. I don't like the fact that they threw that man. It felt like they threw him in the deep end of the pool and said swim, and he can't swim. Like, ease him in a little bit. I mean, you threw him right into the frying pan. Like, here you go. But I do like the 2-person booth in there. They seem to work well together. In there, I know it will be a rotation of guys. I did talk to Jason Galvin and I just wanted to congratulate him. He did a great job last year, but he was very humble, and he was deferring to Joe because he felt like Joe Costello has put in his dues and earned the right to really have the seat that he is taking. So I think he's going to be. They may be alternating Sundays. I did know Saturday. Was it Saturday? Was it Friday? I know Friday Joe made call on, and I don't know how it would have worked out Saturday, but yeah, um, I like the direction. I like the newness. I thought the graphics were great. Um, Cameras are great. The sound is great at the track. By the way, you can actually hear them talk like clearly. It's going to be excellent for the fans of what they've done with improving the sound. As they can hear what you're hearing on NHRA TV, and they can hear it very clear. I thought the sound for the cars were great too. Did an excellent job with all the improvements, the graphics. Um, you know, the team here. We'll see how it goes with when they start adding others in, and what different dynamics we have. But everybody has a different personality. The delivery is a little different. So I think it'll keep things fresh. I think that's what's so important, is keeping things fresh. But I also think that Jason Galvin is not rigid. You know what I mean? You're likely not going to hear the same one-liners 100,000 times. Like, he's just in the moment. He kind of reminds me of Brian Loans. Like, you know, he's just in the moment. And if a big moment happens, emotionally they feel it. Whatever's good, whatever's there at that time, you're going to experience. It will be no pre-written one line, one zingers there. I think you'll see a little bit. It'll be a different feel, and I like that. I like that. Two people is enough, though. I say that about wrestling. The three-man booth is just too many people. Somebody's, stepping on each other, and running over each other. But I think a two-man booth is absolutely a perfect setup there. Memphis Lonnie says, I'm okay here. How is the percentage of nitro and a temperature issue? Well, you only allowed to run a certain percentage, and they give you. So let's say that the cutoff was 90%. That is the rule. So you have to make sure that your elixir meets that 90% rule. You cannot have more than 90% nitro in your fuel mixture. Well, when the heat gets to it, it's just science. And maybe we'll have someone on to explain how that changes, the percentage of nitro. The heat changes that. That's a good idea. We'll do that. But that raises the percentage now, because you lose your filler, your other part of the elixir is going away, whether it's evaporating, whether it's being taken over, whatever. So now it was raised by 0.1%. The rule is 90% flat, not 90.1. And that was against the law. And she was DQ'd by 0.1%. You may not like it, but a rule is a rule. And they held to that. Yeah, I agree with you. Was very, very good. Very good in the booth. NHRA was massively improved. Great experience from home. Everything seemed to be trending in the right direction. I agree. I know everybody felt like, here we go again when it went off. But yeah, a loss of power, as if things couldn't get any more crazy, right? The specific gravity changes with temperature, and the top alcohol dragster teams are allowed to chill their fuel to 48 degrees. If they take the temperature of the fuel and it is 47.9 degrees, you are out. We are not losing power again. Just flickered. Yep. So, Drag Racing Mayhem says Loans mentioned on the Insider last week a driver announcement was supposed to be made this weekend. What was it? Did it ever get made? See, now you're asking me, and my brain is going south. I don't, other than the fact that Steve was running the entire season, and some of the announcements that were supposed to be made on that day were made after the fact. Not say after the fact, they were made during testing. Like that Carlisle body was supposed to be seen Gator Nationals opening day, and they decided to run it during testing. So you kind of, if you watch testing, you saw it beforehand. But that's the only ones that I can remember. So much going on this weekend. I likely have forgotten if there was something, and if it wasn't big news, then it really didn't settle in. Dave W says I was comparing it to the nitro percentage in Top Fuel. The A fuel teams are limited to temperature they can run their fuel at. Sorry for the confusion. Gotcha. Drag Race Mayhem, I think it was the Schumacher. Yes, there you go. That was it. It was Schumacher being a part of Rick Ware, which I wouldn't have seen coming. And yes, they did mention that early. Everything was mentioned pretty early, but it wasn't his fault. Rick Ware just put it out there. They dropped it before Friday. So it was news to everybody at that point. I think it's a great move. It's going to be cool for Clay to have a teammate. It shows that Rick Ware is invested in the NHRA, and I think that's going to be great for Top Fuel in that class to have another full-time car out there. They will not have a full-time schedule this year in 2025, but in 2026 they will have a full-time schedule, and that will be awesome. Absolutely awesome to have Tony Schumacher, most winningest guy out there, and I think you're going to see we hopefully will see a better Schumacher. He will have a better car under him when we do see him out there. I think that was one of the issues there. How about Alexis DeJoria today? With all that took them to get here, then you look at the incident they had where motor banged and blew the burst panels out. They only got one body, and to do what they did today was impressive because it's not easy when you're starting a new team. And really, when you're starting a new team, you're starting from scratch, and then you're having to find all the parts, all the pieces, get everything together. They likely had to organize an entire new trailer, all these things to get ready for this particular race, and she makes it to the semifinals. Pretty impressive day for them, given the fact that, there was a lot going on to get here. Even Bobby Bodie and that side of what it took for them to get that car ready as well. A lot of work went into that, and they made it happen. Dave W says the Schumacher ride announcement is a huge deal. Those two drivers have the most wins and titles in Top Fuel history between NHRA and IHRA, and now they are teammates. Yeah, it is. It is not understated what this means for the Mission Foods, drag racing series and Top Fuel. Take the time machine back 20 years and tell me in 2005 those guys would end up as teammates. Mind blown. Yeah. Isn't that something? Dave W says, plus Alexis to getting used to driving a Dodge. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is a great point. Uh, whole different body, whole different, you know, deal. She did a good job. She did a good job. She was better on the tree today too. Like I said, I think you're going to see a rejuvenated um, Alexis DeJoria for sure. I think you will. Also felt bad for Cruz. I think they have all the pieces and all the tools. I think everything is trending in the right direction. They just didn't have enough runs, and unfortunately, they had to run on that bald racetrack because when they put them back out there, that track still wasn't that great. It came in as runs went down, but it wasn't that great. And everybody at that point of what they saw beforehand was nervous. I mean, you heard Sean Langdon say that people were pretty scared of the racetrack today, and rightfully so. I mean, you really didn't know what you were getting, to be honest. So many bad things happened, and so many people, didn't make it down the racetrack that people got timid and kind of pulled back a little bit. But I honestly think earlier in the day, rounds 2, even probably 3, maybe at least round 2, rest of round 1, round 2 were probably times where you probably needed to tiptoe. By the semifinals and finals, the track had come in really, really good. And in the final, we saw some great passes. The track was there, kind of like what we saw earlier in the weekend on Friday. Very good racetrack. So, I think people are just trying to make sure they don't make a mistake and trip up and mess up when they know that they were just too aggressive. Drag Racing Mayhem says Alexa's issue is she has to cut a light. She could be in Prop's car and not win as much races because of it. Today, her lights were great though. Yeah, and she's got to improve upon that. That's going to be the key. That's just the name of the game in drag racing, period. And in this Mission Foods drag racing series, it doesn't matter what class you're in. And that's not a cliche thing. It's a thing that everybody in these classes cut pretty good lights, and you got to be in their ballpark. And so you have to make sure that your lights are 60 and below. You can't be habitually 70s and 80s, unless you've got a blazing car like Antron Brown, or you've got an Austin Prop car that's going to make up for it down the racetrack. You can't be any less than that. You've got to be in the 65, 68 range and below. Can't be 77 and above. You're not going to win races. These cats are too good. And unfortunately, you see some of these guys, they're consistently down in the 40s, sometimes 30s. That's pro stock numbers. And so you definitely have to get in there, and that's going to be part of honing in your craft, is working that tree and working on the tree and getting your times down. I want to give a shout out to the hometown driver and rider here, Kelly Klontz. That bike's going to be good. She was late though in the second round. It wouldn't have got a win. She ran at 80, I think it was at 82, 83. Let me go back. But the bike is where it needs to be. And I think they've shown the ability that they can run in the 70s as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing her put on more win lights. She ran an 83. He ran a 76, but can't have a 152 light. Wonder if something got couldn't see, got distracted. I don't know, but the bike is there. And I'm excited for them. All 4 of those MSR bikes are on point. And I think you're going to see a few of them get an opportunity to win. I don't think Gage runs away with it this year. I really don't. He's going to be tough, no doubt about it. I think you're going to have Richard is going to be tough. He made a mistake today too against Chase, which Chase's bike is picking up right where they left off last year too when they were hot. So I think we're going to see a really good bike class, and I think you're going to see Steve Johnson showed that he has the ability to run some big numbers too. So I'm really excited to see what happens there in Pro Stock Motorcycle. It's going to be real fun. It's going to be a lot of fun throughout all of these classes. And I'm looking forward to Arizona. Should be better weather in Arizona than it was here in the state of Florida for the 56th annual Gator Nationals. But I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, Top Fuel is going to be tough. Funny Car is going to be tough. I think you got a real big handful of cars there. Pro Stock Motorcycle and Pro Stock going to be tough. This is going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun year for a lot of people. And got that chase for the regular season champion. So a lot of fun stuff here. And you still got the Mission Foods deal. So I find that to be all around just going to be a lot of excitement. Dave W says this is the prime example of why you need the sportsman classes. They put down so much more rubber between pros sessions that when it is not there, it's evident. And you're right. You're right. They went, they announced 9:30. I also think too, with that, they didn't have those cars to run on the track early in the morning. 1, 2, at that time of morning, it was pretty, it wasn't very warm this morning. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't very warm. And you add the humidity and the moisture, I just think it was, that rubber was like oil and water and it wasn't mixing. And, maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. Actually, I believe the sun coming out probably helped the matters a little bit to kind of get that moisture from off the racetrack and help the rubber out a little bit. So, the sun shined on them and they were able to get this thing in. I'm sure everyone is glad that they were able to get it in because this was looking ugly. It was looking really ugly. My last thing before we get out of here is this. I still believe that the All-Star call-out should be way down the road. If you don't want to put it in Indy, then fine. But it should be at least 3 or 4 races in. Maybe even 5 races in. And here's my theory on that. Everybody's been sitting home for weeks, right? Getting ready for the season. And now we expect them to come in after some testing, after 2 rounds of qualifying, and then muster up the attitude to kind of have this strong call out where, you maybe got a little chip on your shoulder because this person's been beating you all year, or, you have some natural rivalries. As we can see, Vincent Hines and MSR, that ain't going away. If you saw what Andrew Hines said after the win, he took a nice little jab. I thought that was funny. But other than that, it makes it difficult. And so everybody's happy. Everybody's 0-0. Everybody's happy. They're just happy to be back at the racetrack. And it comes off kind of, right? There's no emotion there. Can't have any emotion when you're coming off vacation and coming to work for the first day. And then they're saying, well, we're going to put you in a play-in tournament. And, in this tournament, you're going to call out your opponent. Now, It's going to sound dry. It's going to look dry because everybody's happy and coming off. They're well rested, coming off vacation. Not good. Yeah, I think it would be better. I think it would be a lot better. Dave W says, plus you're coming off Saturday when nothing went down since 9 a.m. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And again, like I said, I think everyone was shocked that it rained that early. Everyone, because I got in the media center. I sat down, and I believe someone came up to me and was like, "Did you see the radar?" And I was like, "No." And there it was, rain, and I didn't pay attention to it because I didn't expect it at all. It wasn't expected until later in the day, so I figured they would be able to get something off, but that never transpired, as we all know, and gave us the day that we ended up having, which was nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. But kudos to the NHRA today. They fought through a lot today to give you a race. And the second time around, they were given a mulligan, and they needed it because they pissed down their leg on the first one. And they gave you a very good racetrack, in the second half of this thing. And Mother Nature held off until the very end. It was looking like they weren't going to get the finals in too, but it held off. It held off. I've said it before I get out of here. One more thing too. I'm liking where it didn't transpire today in round one for obvious reasons, but I'm liking where Josh Hart is too. I really believe I spoke with him a little bit yesterday, and you can just see the confidence that he has. And I think him running in the factory stock is going to help him just as a driver, just to continue to stay sharp and maybe even be more sharp. But he's got three great guys in the room right now with the addition of Joe Barlam. You can tell this car has that repeatability they've been looking for all last season. And now it's just being able to go out there and in those hero sessions, making sure you take advantage of it. Because those hero sessions are going to come. But for the most part, if they can just simply be solid in warm weather, put yourself in position, and then I believe those 60s will come. It's just a matter of making sure you can get the car to go down the racetrack every time. And the more times they can get it to go down the racetrack in qualifying, that's more data they can use, and that'll inch them closer to where everybody wants to be, is to make sure that they're able to hang with Brittany Force, with Antron Brown. You see Clay Milliken at times can throw a haymaker out there. Steve Torrance has that ability to throw that haymaker out there. Jasmine Salinas, at some point, we've seen that car do it before. They have the ability to throw that haymaker out there. And both Doug and Sean Langdon can be an issue. So a lot of cars that can run in the 60s, you want to make sure that you have the ability to be able to do that. I mean, think about it. The final round today was a 367.3 to a 368.4. Came down to the tree. 036 for Antron, 046 for Langdon. That was the difference. Because Langdon with the better light, it would have taken, don't get me wrong, he'd have to cut a 00, which is nuts, but he could have won on a whole shot. So it just proves when the conditions are there, you have to be able to take advantage of them, because you're going to be facing any of those cars in that final round. You're going to have a 60 to be able to battle. If not, it's going to be on the trailer for you. It's runner up for you. But I do like where they are as a team, and I'm looking forward to them continuing to build this season. Good stuff. Buddy Hall as well. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to build. But man, I can't be more excited for Chad Green and that team. It's nice to see what many may consider, and I think we all still look at as a small team. And now they have 2 cars. I think the data is going to help them both. But, man, I think both of those cars are going to have the ability to be a car that can go out and win, which makes it tough on everybody else. It makes the class that much better. It makes great action for you guys, the fans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I'm going to sit back, let my brain rest, as there is AEW Revolution that is on. I don't know how long I'll be watching that, though. It's probably going to run until about 12 o'clock, and your boy needs some rest. Monday. Well, on Tuesday, we'll confirm, but as of right now, we have Ida Zetterstrom that will come up on Tuesday. She'll be on at the 7 o'clock hour, and at 7:30 we will have the head of Sega, Southeast Gassers Association, Leslie Horn, on, and we'll talk about the upcoming event that will be going on in 2 weeks at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Gonna be a fun event. And if you're able to catch a Sega event, you should. I'll be there. I'll be working that event with Lee. It's going to be fun. But we'll talk about it all Tuesday. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to this show. Late night. But I didn't even expect to go an hour. I was only going to do 30 minutes. But so many of you in here commenting makes it great, man. Makes it great. Thank you, Memphis Lonnie. Appreciate it. Thank you for all for your support. Without you guys, this is not possible. Well, for Sports Journey, for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, for Drag Race Reference, I'm Dujane Bland. Thank you to Everything Nitro. They're a big part of the new intro. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Enjoy your Monday.